Well, my first thought was surprise because the polls had suggested that we would vote Remain, but as I'd voted to leave, I was pleased in the sense that I was one of the majority, I suppose. But it was all a bit of a shock, to be honest. Yes, I have a neighbour, a lady in about 60, who's very pro-European, and we'd had lots of discussions about it over the preceding weeks. But I went to get my Sunday paper. I think it was a Sunday, but anyway, the day when after the vote and the announcement that we wanted to leave, and she was returning from the paper shop and in tears, and she sort of looked at me in the eyes and she said, "I'm so upset that I can't speak to you." And I said, "Well, now the decision's been made, we've got to be positive and hope it all works out for the best." Apprehensive. Well, I certainly hope that the result is the benefit to the country and maybe even Europe as well. I feel that the problem is there are so many unknown factors. I mean, one of the biggest ones is they did originally say no deal's better than a bad deal, but now we can't figure out what no deal is. I always assumed we go to the WTO, which we were the founder members apparently, and that we'd be the same as the rest of the world. The US exports twice as much as we do to the common market, so I thought, well, if we get out, we would be saving 250 million, I believe it's a week, and in fact we'd be saving, we'd have 350 million, which we could choose what we spent on, because the common market, as you know, gave us 100 million back, but they chose how that should be spent. So it's quite a big benefit in leaving, and also I don't like our ancient courts being second-guessed by a European Human Rights Act, which not only gives a lot of more work to lawyers who don't make too many positive contributions to society, and so I feel that surely, as I've already said, being immature, I think the Europeans' record on human rights has not been as good as ours. So I would say I just hope for the best. Presumably Mrs. May is, I judge her as a pretty intelligent, well-meaning woman. She made a couple of mistakes in calling the election, but I'm sure that they're above average intelligence and they should be able to figure out a good deal. And that's all any of us can hope for. Yes, I think speaking generally, I look at Europe and I see people flocking from Europe to England. We have less than 5% unemployed, whereas the last time I checked, Spain had 20% unemployed and incredibly over 40% youth unemployment. Italy has got 12% and incredibly again 37% youth unemployment. And I think it's estimated that we have 300,000 young French people here living in Kensington alone. I know when I've driven past on French election day, there's queues around the blocks of the French people, generally young people. So I feel our country has a lot of attractions, and we always got by perfectly all right on our own. for centuries. And in fact, when we were leading the world in Victorian times with industry and everything else, we were completely alone, except for the colonies, which I accept we did exploit. But then the US overtook us at the beginning of the 20th century. So I just feel that we just don't need the influence of Europe. And also, we have had so many immigrants in. Now, the immigrants are good people. I've been lucky enough to have them help in my house, many of them, and they're hard-working and well-trained people. But we've got over 1 million people on our council house waiting list. We've had that for some time. We're only building this year about 144,000. So, I mean, the situation is that we need at least a breathing space where we must restrict people coming in, because I noticed in the news today, I saw the news of the Syrian people, poor people caught up in a terrible war, flocking to Italy and fighting to get ashore, and Italy appealing to the rest of Europe to help them. And quite honestly, I feel we've taken our share for the time being. We must make those decisions as a sovereign nation. For instance, I mean, France has got twice the area as England, 4 times the area of England, and twice the size of the UK, and they've got houses empty, but we are just full up with people. We took in, I think we're up to 55 million in England, and 5 million people. In far too few, and good people. I'm not anti-immigrant. I only wish that we could get rid of some of our people and swap them, like the people that we apparently have got over 1 million unemployed, and yet people seem to flock here and get jobs. But anyway, that's the best I can do, I'm afraid.